May our Father, Messiah, and the Holy Spirit be with us, brothers and sisters. I pray that you are all doing well. We will be continuing with Matthew, chapter 11. And it came to pass, when our Messiah had made an end of commanding his 12 disciples, he departed there to teach and to preach in their cities. Now when John had heard in the prison the works of the Messiah, he sent 2 of his disciples and said to him, Are you he that should come, or do we look for another? Our Messiah answered and said to them, Go and show John again those things which you do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he whosoever will not be offended in me. And as they departed, our Messiah began to say to the multitudes concerning John, What went you out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? But what made you out for to you to see? But what went you out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. But what went you out for to see? A prophet? Yeah, I say to you, and more than a prophet. For this is he, of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before your face, which will prepare your way before you. Verily I say to you, among them that are born of women, there has not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied to John until John. And if you will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come. He that has ears to hear, let him hear. But where to will I liken this generation? It is like to children sitting in the markets and calling to their fellows, and saying, We have piped to you, and you have not danced. We have mourned to you, and you have not lamented. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he has a devil. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, Behold, a man gluttonous, and a winebibber, a friend of publicans and sinners. But wisdom is justified of her children. Then began he to upbraid the cities wherein most of his mighty works were done, because they repented not. Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bethsaida! For if the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. But I say to you, it will be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the day of judgment than for you. And you, Capernaum, which are exalted to heaven, will be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works which have been done in you had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. But I say to you, that it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for you. At that time our Messiah answered and said, I thank you, O Father, Father of heaven and earth, because you have hid these things from the wise and prudent, and have revealed them to babes. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in your sight. All things are delivered to me of my Father. And no man knows the Son but the Father, neither knows any man the Father, save the Son. And he to whomsoever the Son will reveal him. Come to me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you will find rest to your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Chapter 12. At that time, our Messiah went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were an hungered, and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, Behold, your disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. But he said to them, Have you not read what David did when he was hungered, and they that were with him? How he entered into the house of our Father in heaven, and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests? Or have you not read in the law, how that on the Sabbath days the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath, and are blameless? But I say to you, that in this place is one greater than the temple. But if you had known what this means, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless, for the Son of Man is King even of the Sabbath day. And for the Son of Man is Messiah, even of the Sabbath day. And when he was departed there, he went into their synagogue, and behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. And they asked him, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath days? That they might accuse him? And he said to them, What man will there be among you that will have one sheep, and if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out? How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath days. Then says he to the man, Stretch forth your hand. And he stretched it forth, and it was restored whole, like as the other. Then the Pharisees went out and held a council against him, how they might destroy him. But when our Messiah knew it, he withdrew himself from there. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed from them all, and charged them that they should not make him known, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Esaias the prophet, saying, Behold, my servant, whom I have chosen, my beloved, in whom my soul is well pleased. I will put my spirit upon him, and he will show judgment to the Gentiles. He will not strive, nor cry, neither will any man hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed will he not break, and smoking flax will he not quench, till he send forth judgment to victory. And in his name will the Gentiles trust. Then was brought to him one possessed with the devil, blind and dumb, and he healed him in so much that the blind and dumb both spake and saw, and all the people were amazed, and said, Is not this the son of David? But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, This fellow does not cast out devils, but by Beelzebub, the prince of the devils. And our Messiah knew their thoughts, and said to them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself will not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How will then his kingdom stand? And if I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore, they will be your judges. But if I cast out devils by the Spirit of our Father in heaven, then the kingdom of our Father in heaven is come to you. Or else, how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except his first bind the strong man? And then he will spoil his house. He that is not with me is against me, and he that gathers not with me scatters abroad. Wherefore I say to you, all manner of sin and blasphemy will be forgiven to men, but the blasphemy against the Holy Ghost will not be forgiven to men. And whosoever speaks a word against the Son of Man, it will be forgiven him. But whosoever speaks against the Holy Spirit, it will not be forgiven him, neither in this world, neither in the world to come. Either make the tree good, and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt, and his fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by his fruit. O generation of vipers, how can you, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart brings forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things. But I say to you that every idle word that men will speak, they will give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Then certain of the scribes and the Pharisees answered, saying, Master, we would see a sign from you. But he answered and said to them, an evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and there will no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will rise in judgment with this generation, and will condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonas. And behold, a greater than Jonas is here. The queen of the south will rise up in the judgment with this generation, and will condemn it, for she came from the uttermost parts of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon. And behold, a greater than Solomon is here. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walks through dry places, seeking rest, and finds none. Then he says, I will return to my house from where I came out. And when he is come, he finds it empty, swept, and garnished. Then goes he and takes with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so will it be also to this wicked generation. While he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. Then one said to him, Behold, your mother and your brethren stand without, desiring to speak with you. But he answered and said to him that told him, Who is my mother? And who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples and said, Behold, my mother and my brethren, for whosoever will do the will of my Father, which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother. Chapter 13. The same day went the Messiah out of the house and sat by the seaside, and great multitudes were gathered together to him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. And he spake many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth. And forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But other fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some an hundredfold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Who has ears to hear, let him hear. And the disciples came and said to him, Why speak you to them in parables? He answered and said to them, Because it is given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever has, to him will be given, and he will have more abundance. But whosoever has not, from him will be taken away, even that he has. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Esaias, which says, By hearing you will hear, and will not understand, and seeing you will see, and will not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, unless at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say to you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear, and have not heard them. Hear you, therefore, the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and understands it not, then comes the wicked one and catches away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that hears the word, and anon with joy receives it. Yet has he not root in himself, but endures for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. He also that received seed among the thorns is he that hears the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becomes unfruitful. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that hears the word and understands it, which also bears fruit and brings forth some an hundredfold, some 60, some 30. Another parable put he forth to them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened to a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said to him, Sir, did not you sow good seed in your field? From where then has it tares? He said to them, An enemy has done this. The servant said to him, Will you then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest we gather them, lest we gather, lest, but he said, Nay, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of the harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather you together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Another parable put he forth to them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. But when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. Another parable spake he to them. The kingdom of heaven is like to leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. All these things spake our Messiah to the multitude in parables, and without a parable spake he not to them, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables, I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world. Then our Messiah sent the multitude away, and went into the house, and his disciples came to him, saying, Declare to us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said to them, He that sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so will it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man will send forth his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and will cast them into a furnace of fire. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then will the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears to hear, let him hear. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like to treasure hid in a field, the which, when a man has found, he hides, and for joy thereof goes and sells all that he has, and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like to a merchantman seeking goodly pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like to a net that was cast into the sea, and gathered of every kind, which, when it was full, they drew to shore, and sat down, and gathered the good into vessels, but cast the bad away. So will it be at the end of the world. The angels will come forth, and sever the wicked from among the just, and will cast them into the furnace of fire. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Our Messiah said to them, Have you understood all these things? They said to him, Yes, Messiah. Then said he to them, Therefore every scribe which is instructed to the kingdom of heaven is like to a man that is an householder, which brings forth out of his treasure things new and old. And it came to pass that when our Messiah had finished these parables, he departed there. And when he was come into his own country, he taught them in their synagogue, insomuch that they were astonished, and said, Where has this man this wisdom and these mighty works? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brethren James and Joseph, and Simon and Judas? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Where then has this man all these things? And they were offended in him. But our Messiah said to them, A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house. And he did not many mighty works there because of their unbelief. Chapter 14. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of our Messiah, and said to his servants, This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him. For Herod had laid hold on John, and bound him, and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. For John said to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, "Give me here John Baptist's head in a charger." And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison. And his head was brought in a charger, and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took up the body and buried it, and went and told our Messiah. When our Messiah heard of it, he departed there by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And our Messiah went forth and saw a great multitude, and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, "This is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves victuals." But our Messiah said to them, "They need not depart. Give you them to eat." And they say to him, "We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, "Bring them here to me." And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake, and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat, and were filled. And they took up of the fragments that remained 12 baskets full. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. And straightway our Messiah constrained his disciples to get into a ship, and to go before him to the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the 4th watch of the night, our Messiah went to them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a spirit." And they cried out for fear. But straightway our Messiah spake to them, saying, "Be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid." And Peter answered him and said, "Messiah, if it be you, bid me come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to our Messiah. And when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried, saying, "Messiah, save me!" And immediately our Messiah stretched forth his hand and caught him, and said to him, "O you of little faith, wherefore did you doubt?" And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, "Of a truth you are the Son of our Father in heaven." And when they were gone over, they came into the land of Gennesaret. And when the men of that place had knowledge of him that sent out into all the country round about, and brought to him all that were diseased, and besought him that they might only touch the hem of his garment, and as many as touched were made perfectly whole. Chapter 15. Then came to our Messiah scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, "Why do your disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread." But he answered and said to them, Why do you also transgress the commandment of our Father in heaven by your tradition? For our Father in heaven commanded, saying, Honor your father and mother, and he that curses father or mother, let him die the death. But you say, Whosoever will say to his father or his mother, It is a gift, by whatsoever you might be profited by me, and honor not his father or his mother, he will be free. This have you made the commandment of our Father in heaven of none effect by your tradition. You hypocrites! Well did Esaias prophesy of you, saying, This people draws near to me with their mouth and honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. And he called the multitude and said to them, Hear and understand. Not that which goes into the mouth defiles a man, but that which comes out of the mouth, this defiles a man. Then came his disciples and said to him, Know you that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying? But he answered and said, Every plant which my heavenly Father has not planted will be rooted up. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both will fall into the ditch. Then answered Peter and said to him, Declare to us this parable. And our Messiah said, Are you also yet without understanding? Do not you yet understand that whatsoever enters in at the mouth goes into the belly and is cast out into the drought? But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashen hands defiles not a man. Then our Messiah went there and departed into the coasts of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried to him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Messiah, you son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she cries after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Messiah, help me. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to the dogs. And she said, Truth, Messiah, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then our Messiah answered and said to her, O woman, great is your faith. Be it to you even as you will. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. And our Messiah departed from there and came near to the Sea of Galilee and went up into a mountain and sat down there. And great multitudes came to him, having with them those that were lame, blind, dumb, maimed, and many others, and cast them down at our Messiah's feet, and he healed them. Insomuch that the multitude wondered when they saw the dumb to speak, the maimed to behold, the lame to walk, and the blind to see. And they glorified our Father in heaven of Israel. Then the Messiah called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion on the multitude, because they continue with me now 3 days, and have nothing to eat. And I will send them away fasting, unless they faint in the way. And his disciples say to him, When should we have so much bread in the wilderness as to fill so great a multitude? And our Messiah said to them, "How many loaves have you?" And they said, 7, and a few little fishes. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves and the fishes and gave thanks, and brake them, and gave to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat, and were filled, and they took up of the broken meat that was left 7 baskets full. And they that did eat were 4,000 men, beside women and children. And he sent away the multitude, and took ship, and came into the coasts of Magdala. Chapter 16. The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said to them, "When it is evening, you say, 'It will be fair weather, for the sky is red.' And in the morning, 'It will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering.' O you hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but can you not discern the sign of the times? A wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and there will no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonah." And he left them and departed. When his disciples were come to the other side, they had forgotten to take bread. Then our Messiah said to them, "Take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees." And they reasoned among themselves, saying, "It is because we have taken no bread." Which when our Messiah perceived, he said to them, "O you of little faith, why reason you among yourselves because you have brought no bread? Do you not yet understand, neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets you took up? Neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets you took up? How is it that you do not understand that I spake it not to you concerning bread, that you should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees?" Then understood they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. When our Messiah came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, "Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" And they said, "Some say you are John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets." He says to them, "But whom say you that I am?" And Simon answered and said, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living Father." And our Messiah answered and said to him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed it to you, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say also to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. And I will give to you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever you will bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatsoever you will loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." Then charged he his disciples that they would tell no man that he was Messiah, that he was Yeshua, the Messiah. From that time forth began our Messiah to show to his disciples how that he must go into Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and be raised again the 3rd day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, "Be it far from you, Messiah. This will not be to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get you behind me, Satan. You are an offense to me. For you sovereign not the things that be of our Father in heaven, but those that be of men." Then said our Messiah to his disciples, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life will lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake will find it. For what is a man profited if he will gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man will come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will reward every man according to his works. Verily I say to you, there be some standing here which will not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." Chapter 17. And after 6 days, the Messiah takes Peter, James, and John his brother, and brings them up into an high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. Then answered Peter and said to our Messiah, "Messiah, it is good for us to be here. If you will let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elisha." While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear you him." And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were so afraid. And the Messiah came and touched them and said, "Arise and be not afraid." When they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man, save Messiah only. And as they came down from the mountain, our Messiah charged them, saying, "Tell the vision to no man, until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead." And his disciples asked him, saying, "Why then say the scribes that Elias must first come?" And our Messiah answered and said to them, "Elijah truly will first come and restore all things. But I say to you that Elijah is come already, and they know him not, but have done to him whatsoever they listed. Likewise will also the Son of Man suffer of them." Then the disciples understood that he spake to them of John the Baptist. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man kneeling down to him, saying, "Messiah, have mercy on my son, for he is lunatic and sore vexed. For oftentimes he falls into the fire, and often into the water. And I brought him to your disciples, and they could not cure him." Then our Messiah answered and said, "O faithless and perverse generation, how long will I be with you? How long will I suffer you? Bring him here to me." And our Messiah rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples to our Messiah apart and said, "Why could not we cast him out?" And our Messiah said to them, "Because of your unbelief. For verily I say to you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, Remove here to yonder place, and I will remove, and nothing will be impossible to you. Howbeit, this kind goes not out but by prayer and fasting." And while they abode in Galilee, our Messiah said to them, "The Son of Man will be betrayed into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and the third day he will be raised again. And they were exceeding sorry. And when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, Does not your master pay tribute? He says, Yes. And when he was come into the house, our Messiah prevented him, saying, What think you, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom of tribute? Of their own children, or of strangers? Peter says to him, Of strangers. Our Messiah said to him, Then are the children free. Notwithstanding, unless we should offend them, go you to the sea and cast a hook and take up the fish that first comes up. When you have opened his mouth, you will find a piece of money. That take and give to them for me and you. Chapter 18. At the same time came the disciples to our Messiah, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And our Messiah called a little child to him, and set him in the midst of them, and said, Verily, I say to you, except you be converted and become as little children, you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore will humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoso will receive one such little child in my name receives me. But whoso will offend one of these little ones, which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of offenses! For it must needs be that offenses come, but woe to that man by whom the offense comes. Wherefore, if your hand or your foot offends you, cut them off and cast them from you. It is better for you to enter into life halt or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into everlasting fire. And if your eye offend you, pluck it out and cast it from you. It is better for you to enter into life with 1 eye, rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into hell fire. Take heed that you despise not one of these little ones. For I say to you, that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. For the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. How think you? If a man have 100 sheep, and one of them be gone astray, does he not leave the 99 and goes into the mountains and seeks that which is gone astray? And if so be that he find it, verily I say to you, he rejoices more of that sheep than of the 99 which went not astray. Even so, it is not the will of your Father which is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish. Moreover, if your brother will trespass against you, go and tell him his fault, between you and him alone. If he will hear you, you have gained your brother. But if he will not hear you, then take with you 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And if he will neglect to hear them, tell it to the church. And if he neglect to hear the church, let him be to you as an heathen man and a publican. Verily I say to you, whatsoever you will bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatsoever you will loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again I say to you, that if 2 of you will agree on earth as touching anything that they will ask, it will be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Then came Peter to him and said, Messiah, how oft How often will my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? The Messiah said to him, I say not to you until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Therefore, in the kingdom of heaven, liken to a certain king, which would take account of his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought to him, which owed him 10,000 talents. But forasmuch as he had not to pay, his master commanded him to be sold, and his wife, and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Master, have patience with me, and I will pay you all. Then the master of that servant was moved with compassion, and loosed him, and forgave him the debt. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence. And he laid hands on him, and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me that you owe. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet, and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay you all. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison, till he could pay the debt. And when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told to their master all that was done. Then his master, after that he had called them, said to them, O you wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt, because you desired me. Should not you also have had compassion on your fellow servant, even as I had pity on you? And his master was wroth, and delivered him to the tormentors till he should pay all that was due to him. So likewise will my heavenly Father do also to you, if you from your hearts forgive not every one his brother their trespasses. Chapter 19. And it came to pass that when our Messiah had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee, and came into the coasts of Judea, beyond Jordan. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. The Pharisees also came to him, tempting him, and saying to him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? And he answered and said to them, Have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, For this cause will a man leave father and mother, and will cleave to his wife, and they twain will be one flesh? Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore our Father in heaven has joined together, let not man put asunder. They say to him, Why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? He says to them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say to you, whosoever will put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and will marry another, commits adultery. And whoso marries her, which is put away, does commit adultery. His disciples say to him, If the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. But he said to them, All men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given. For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. Then were there brought to him little children, that he should put his hands on them and pray. And the disciples rebuked them. But our Messiah said, Suffer little children, and forbid them not to come to me, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. And he laid his hands on them and departed there. And behold, one came and said to him, Good master, what good thing will I do that I may have eternal life? And he said to him, Why call you me good? There is none good but one, that is, our Father in heaven. But if you will enter into life, keep the commandments. He says to him, Which? Our Messiah said, You will do no murder. You will not commit adultery. You will not steal. You will not bear false witness. Honor your father and your mother, and you will love your neighbor as yourself. The young man says to him, All these things have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? Our Messiah said to him, If you will be perfect, go and sell that you have, and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. Then said our Messiah to his disciples, Verily I say to you, that a rich man will hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of our Father in heaven. When his disciples heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, Who then can be saved? Our Messiah beheld them and said to them, With men this is impossible, but with our Father in heaven all things are possible. Then answered Peter and said to him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed you, but what will we have therefore? And our Messiah said to them, Verily I say to you, that you which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man will sit in the throne of his glory, you also will sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And every one that has forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, will receive an hundredfold, and will inherit everlasting life. But many that are first will be last, and the last will be first. Chapter 20. For the kingdom of heaven is like to a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour, and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said to them, Go you also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way. Again he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out, and found others standing idle, and says to them, Why stand you here all the day idle? They say to him, Because no man has hired us. He says to them, Go you also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that will you receive. So when even was come, the master of the vineyard says to the steward, Call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last to the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more. And they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, These last have wrought but 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us, which have borne the burden of the heat of the day. But he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do you no wrong. Did not you agree with me for a penny? Take that yours is, and go your way. I will give to this last, even as to you. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with my own? Is your eye evil because I am good? So the last will be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few chosen. And our Messiah, going up to Jerusalem, took the 12 disciples apart in the way, and said to them, Behold, we go up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be betrayed to the chief priests and to the scribes, and they will condemn him to death, and will deliver him to the Gentiles, to mock, and to scourge, and to crucify him. And the third day he will rise again. Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children, with her sons, worshipping him, and desiring a certain thing of him. And he said to her, What will you? She says to him, Grant that these my 2 sons may sit, the one on your right hand, and the other on the left, in your kingdom. But our Messiah answered and said, You know not what you ask. Are you able to drink of the cup that I will drink of, and to be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? They say to him, We are able. And he says to them, You will drink indeed of my cup, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. But to sit on my right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but it will be given to them for whom it is prepared of my Father. And when the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation against the 2 brethren. And our Messiah called them to him and said, You know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it will not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered to, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. And as they departed from Jericho, a great multitude followed him. And behold, 2 blind men sitting by the wayside, when they heard that our Messiah passed by, cried out, saying, Have mercy on us, O Messiah, you Son of David. And the multitude rebuked them, because they should hold their peace. But they cried the more, saying, Have mercy on us, O Messiah, you Son of David. And our Messiah stood still and called them and said, What will you that I will do to you? They said to him, Messiah, that our eyes may be opened. So our Messiah had compassion on them and touched their eyes, and immediately their eyes received sight, and they followed him. And Father willing, brothers and sisters, we will continue with chapter 21 of Matthew. May our Father, Messiah, and the Holy Spirit be with us, brothers and sisters. Repent, the kingdom of heaven is near. Peace.